Welcome, everybody. It's 1:30, so we'll begin. Welcome to our Alzheimer education series on the VON Community Support Services with Monique Natividad and Derrick Babin. My name is Sandra Hubbard, and I'm the Regional Coordinator Outreach and Education for Yarmouth, Shelburne, and Digby counties of the Alzheimer Society of Nova Scotia. I'm very excited to be able to connect and learn with you today. We all are. If you are experiencing any tech troubles, please send a message in the chat box to our ASNS host, and she will try to help you through that. For today's session, all participants have been muted and videos turned off. And with these privacy measures in place, we will be recording the session for future use. So next slide, please. As we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq Nation. We are all treaty people. The Alzheimer Society is committed to undertaking work to create collaborative and respectful relationships. Together, our goal is to identify and develop tools that align with the beliefs and needs of Indigenous, African Nova Scotians, Acadians, and all equity-seeking communities across our province. We are committed to walk as community members and allies in the elimination of racism and discrimination from healthcare and across society. Next slide, please. At the Alzheimer Society, we are working towards becoming a more diverse and inclusive organization where all Nova Scotians feel a sense of belonging. We use the acronym IDEA, which is IDEA, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility, to apply a person-centered lens to all of our work and ensure that we are fostering a sense of belonging in all that we do. To facilitate this work, we are grateful to be collaborating with the organizations indicated on this slide. Next slide, please. So we do want to remind you that if you are viewing a recorded session, to please note that all of the information is the property of the Alzheimer Society of Nova Scotia. And today's date is June the 10th, 2025, just if you are viewing this in a recording. Information about dementia in our programs is updated regularly, but if possible, we suggest viewing educational content recorded within the past year. For the most up-to-date information, please do connect with our dementia helpline at 1-800-611-6345 or alzheimer@asns.ca. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We will be having a 35-minute presentation followed by about 15 minutes of questions and answers. And please feel free to ask questions using the chat box, which is addressed to our ASNS host. Remember to press enter after you've typed in your message to send the message to us, because it won't get to us unless you do hit send. Questions will only be seen by ASNS, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. So today's presentation, as we said, is VON Community Support Programs and Services. It is my extreme pleasure to introduce Monique and Derrick. Monique and Derrick will give an overview of the VON Victorian Order of Nurses and discuss how their community support programs and services may be beneficial to individuals and their family members people living with dementia. So Monique Natividad is a program supervisor for the VON Adult Day program in Nova Scotia. She has been with VON for 14 years, starting as a program coordinator in Colchester East Hants. Monique is committed to creating a welcoming and engaging space where clients feel supported and valued. And she focuses on meaningful activities that enhance well-being and connection, ensuring that program participants have a positive experience. Monique lives in the Truro area with her husband and 3 sons. In her free time, she enjoys hiking, mountain biking, and singing. And Derrick Babin has been with VON for over 17 years in the capacity of coordinator, manager, and now senior manager of Nova Scotia Community Support Services. Derrick has a background in caregiver education and support and participated in one of the working groups that helped inform the Nova Scotia Dementia Strategy. Derrick is a past board director of the Alzheimer Society and resides in Yarmouth County with his wife and adult son. Derrick and his wife enjoy gardening and are hobby beekeepers. So welcome to the both of you. It's so nice to have you. And as former colleagues, it's really nice to be working with you again today. So with no further ado, please take it away.
Thank you, Sandra. Thanks for that warm welcome, and thanks to our friends at the Alzheimer Society for the opportunity to be able to speak about VON. I think, a lot of folks certainly know who we are in our province, in our communities, but it's just so great to be able to share a little bit more about what we do, and hopefully some folks can find some programs and services that they find helpful as they kind of journey along. I'm going to start first, and then I'm going to turn it over to Monique. Monique is going to speak about our adult day programs. I'll just do a little bit of a high level overview about who we are and some of our community support programs, then I'll turn it over to Monique. So again, thank you, Sandra, and our friends at the Society. We certainly look forward to this presentation and answering any questions that folks may have as we kind of move through some of the slides. So for today in our presentation, we'll certainly take a look at who is VON. We'll have a high-level overlook of our nursing program, which I think most are familiar with in Nova Scotia. We'll talk about a little bit about home support types of services, and then the department that Monique and I work in is what we call the Community Support Services Department, and those are things like transportation programs, Meals on Wheels programs, our adult day program. So we'll speak a little bit more extensively about some of those programs and supports. So who is VON? Well, VON, we've been here for quite some time. We were established in the year of 1897 by Lady Ishbel Aberdeen. And she was at that time the wife of our Governor General. And I think she saw a need in our communities. She needed to bring, or she felt that there was a need to bring some support and healthcare to people living in communities. And really, that still rests true today. So even after all over 125 years ago, I think that need is certainly still there in our communities, and VON is certainly proud and very privileged to be able to bring help and support to folks in communities. We're currently in 2 provinces in Canada, in Ontario and Nova Scotia. And really our goal is to be able to help people stay healthy and live well, remain active where they most want to, in their own homes and in their communities. VON is accredited through Accreditation Canada with exemplary standing, which we're very proud of. And if folks want to learn more about VON, so there's lots to share, but a lot of the detail is really on our website, so which is von.ca. It's listed below on this slide, and folks can find lots of information there, more specific about the community that you live in, contact phone numbers, programs, services, those types of things. So here we are looking at the 2 provinces. So we see Ontario kind of in the top left corner, and then we see Nova Scotia in the bottom right corner. And together, with the 2 provinces, we have about 5,600 staff. We have 4,300 volunteers, which we are incredibly grateful for both. And they provide wonderful service to our clients and families in our communities. Community support services relies very heavily on the support and service from our volunteers, and we'll speak a little bit more about that as we kind of navigate through. On the maps, you'll see some red dots with maybe an arrow or 2. Those are what we would call or consider our VON sites, but we serve many communities out of that location. In Nova Scotia, you'll take notice that there are 11 sites right across our province. Combined together, we provide service to over 200 communities with over 60 different programs and services. Ontario is a very large province, and they have a very wide variety of programs and services. Nova Scotia being a little bit smaller, we have a few less. Nonetheless, they're incredibly impactful in people's lives. We'll talk a little bit about our nursing service. So I think a lot of people, when they hear about VON in Nova Scotia, they certainly think about nursing, and rightfully so. It is the bulk of what we do in this province. So we do serve people in their homes and in clinics who are authorized and referred to us through continuing care. And last year we had almost 1 million visits in Nova Scotia, which is quite a bit. And our services through our nursing department could be an assessment. It could be somebody who we need to monitor some symptoms. It could be education to clients and families as they're caring for people in their homes. It could be different therapies, or if people are home from surgery, maybe it's wound care, and of course also palliative care. There certainly is a little bit of a shift in our healthcare system in Nova Scotia, where we see as clinics as being very optimal place for service and for some support. And so VON does have some clinics right throughout our province. So they're listed here in blue: New Glasgow, Sydney, Berwick, New Minas, Yarmouth, Dartmouth, Halifax, and Lower Sackville, with more clinics to come. And again, these are not public clinics. They are to serve continuing care clients that have been referred to us to provide that level of care. And again, almost 1 million visits last year. So we'll move into our home support department. So we, for our nursing department, primarily, again, if you're receiving nursing care in your home or perhaps at a VON clinic, it will be a VON staff member who's providing that level of care. When it comes to our home support services, there are other home support providers, but VON is the home support provider at these locations listed here. So you'll see Shelburne, Annapolis Valley, Pictou and Cumberland, Richmond, and then out of our CEH office, which is the Truro area, the Cumberland East Hants area, we are the home support providers. So those are things like light housekeeping, meal preparation, some meal delivery programs, personal care, and then respite services as well. And last year we provided a little over 936,000 visits to folks in Nova Scotia through these offices here, which, these services help to keep people in their homes safer and longer. And it's certainly the place where they like to be, which is in their home. VON is certainly proud and privileged to be able to work with the Department of Seniors and Long-Term Care in some pilots. So the department certainly wants to try to test different models and have engaged VON to help them do that. And we're, again, certainly proud and privileged to be able to do that. So here are some of the pilots that we're working on with the department. One is a cluster care model, which is out of our CEH office, so in the Truro area, where we're working with 2 Nova Scotia provincial housing buildings, where we do have staff in those buildings. And the goal of that pilot is really to be able to enhance our home support services, make sure that people are getting the services they need in a timely fashion, but it's also about connection to community as well. So we know that COVID has certainly isolated a lot of folks. It was really difficult where people couldn't get out. And really, in some ways, we still feel the residual of that social isolation. So our staff on site here at these 2 buildings are working very hard to increase social interaction, but again, also to help folks navigate the healthcare system, other types of referrals for other supports that people may need to stay safely in their home longer. It's where they want to be, but lots of great things coming out of that pilot, and again, in collaboration with the department. Another one is our Enhanced Adult Day program. So Monique is going to speak very heavily about our adult day programs right across the province and the benefits that they do bring to the folks that we serve and to their families. And the government want to test just a different model when it comes to our adult day programs for enhanced care for folks. And the participants that come to those programs, which is in the Truro and Pictou area, are continuing care clients. So they are referred to us directly through continuing care. And it is an alternative to respite, to in-home respite, where we're already providing that service. For some people, respite certainly is needed for the caregiver, but it also, the Congregate program with our adult day program brings about other things as well. So connection back with other folks, some really good programming, and again, that Monique will speak very well about, and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about that one as well. And another pilot just to kind of showcase here is our Capable program. So the Capable program was built by the Johns Hopkins University, and it stands for Communities Aging in Place, Advancing Better Living for Elders. This is a really neat pilot, and again, we're just really privileged to be able to work with the department on this. This pilot allows people in the Annapolis and the HRM region to be able to have access to a nurse, to an occupational therapist, and to a handy person or a handy worker to be able to take a look at their home and to make sure that that things are safe for them, and that they have opportunities to be healthy in their home. And again, where typically people want to be able to age well. And so this is a very interesting pilot, and again, really privileged to be able to work with the department on this one. So we just thought we'd showcase a couple of the pilots that we're working on. We'll move into a transportation program. So this may be, again, a lot of folks know that VON is a nursing organization, but we do have these community support programs that we do hope help people in their own communities. So currently right now, we do have a transportation program in the communities that are listed there: Yarmouth, Annapolis Valley, in the Queens, so Liverpool area, Lunenburg, Halifax, Pictou, and Antigonish areas. And our transportation program is something that we call door through door. So it's not a taxi service where you call up and in 2 minutes a taxi arrives. This is a scheduled drive. And we're there to assist. So if you have a medical appointment, as an example, we'll help you come to the vehicle if you need a little bit of support, and we'll actually attend the medical appointment with you, not with the medical practitioner, but maybe in the wait room. Maybe you just need somebody to be there for when you come out of your appointment, and then we can help you back to your vehicle. We're always happy to be able to make a couple of stops along the way. Maybe you need to pick up the bread, the milk. We're certainly happy to do that. Also supporting people to do their essential errands, whether it's banking or grocery shopping or whatever that may be. That's really important for folks. We certainly have a very rural province, and we know that transportation is an issue right across our whole province. So currently, these are the locations where we do provide our transportation program, but certainly looking to expand this throughout the province as well. Last year, we were able to provide just shy of 7,000 drives in Nova Scotia through these locations here. Primarily for our transportation program, we do have some locations that have paid drivers, but we rely very heavily on volunteers to help us with this program, which, when you hear from our volunteers, it's as life-giving to them as it is to the person that they're transporting. They certainly build wonderful relationships with folks who use our service on a frequent basis. It's a wonderful program, and it really does help people stay connected in their community. We're happy to be able to provide this. The next program that I'll speak about is our Frozen Meals on Wheels program. So all of our 11 locations right across the province have a Frozen Meals on Wheels program. So if folks in the community needed to access some food, you can contact your local office, which will have some numbers listed a little bit later in the presentation, and you're able to purchase some of our frozen meals. So they're monitored by dietitians to make sure that they're nutritious meals and bring some added value. This program is very helpful for folks who maybe struggle a little bit to be able to prepare meals. It gives them a very wide variety, as well as the menu is quite extensive. So on one day you might have fish, tomorrow you could have pot roast, and the day after maybe you're having a steak or another type of seafood. The variety is quite wide. And what we have heard from the folks who access this program, and even from their families, is that it has really provided a lot of benefit to them. It really reduces the need to do some of the grocery shopping, which some people may struggle with. This is a growing program for us, as well as you'll see that we served a little bit over 693,000 frozen meals across the province this last fiscal year. So there is that kind of client pay or private pay. People can contact our local site. But we're also serving veterans as well, and we can bill directly to Veterans Affairs. And in addition to that, Continuing Care also has this in most locations in their basket of services to be able to authorize. So instead of perhaps somebody coming in to do meal preparation in their home, some people prefer that and like that option, but also there's some folks who don't, and they just prefer to have the variety in their own homes for when they're ready to eat and they want to eat. And they don't necessarily need somebody to come and heat that meal for them, so they can manage that on their own. So Continuing Care is able to authorize that service in the locations where we are the home support provider, but VON also works with external home support agencies so that the continuing care team can authorize through the external home support agency, and then VON comes and fulfills that order for them. So we'll deliver right to the person's door. You'll have contact with our staff on a weekly basis to place your order. You'll get used to your delivery driver. It's a scheduled delivery day, rough times of being able to deliver, and you'll start to build that relationship. This has been a very successful program for us in Nova Scotia, and the feedback from our clients, again, and families has just been tremendous. So I'm kind of ending some of the slides that I'm speaking to, that I'm going to turn it over to Monique. This will be in the presentation, so I know that the Alzheimer Society will share the presentation or have it up on their YouTube channel, so you'll be able to come back to this. I know it's kind of tough to be able to kind of capture all of this, but just to do a little bit of an explanation. In the darker blue area, you'll see our site listed here. So Annapolis Valley, have your contact number, and just a little bit to the right, what are the programs that are offered at that location? And when we list the programs, either community support programs only, of course, all of these locations would have nursing services as well. They're just not listed there. This is more about our community support types of programs, so you'll see them listed there. So that's for your reference. And certainly reach out if you have any questions at any time. We'd be happy to be able to speak to you about our programs. And so now we're going to have Monique Natividad, who's going to speak to us about our adult day programs, which, you know, is a real honor for us to be able to provide in the communities throughout Nova Scotia. So Monique, over to you, and I'll do your slides for you.
Thank you, Derrick. So again, I'm going to be speaking to you about the adult day program. It's something I'm very passionate about. I worked in the program hands-on for about 11 and a half years before moving into a supervisor role. So I have some stories that I'm going to try to find an appropriate place to sneak in the presentation, which will just kind of just speak a little bit about the uniqueness of this program and the benefits. So we have 16 different adult day program locations. So if you look down the left-hand side, the community where our office, our site is bolded. But this will show you the locations of all the individual adult day programs. Berwick and Middleton, Antigonish, Sydney. In Colchester East Hants, we have programs in Milford, Truro, and Tatamagouche. Cumberland, we have programs in Amherst and Oxford. We have a program in Hammonds Plains, Lunenburg, Bridgewater, Stellarton, Yarmouth, and our enhanced adult day program, which Derrick spoke about, is offered in Truro and Stellarton. All right, next slide. So this is a quote from one of our adult day program clients, and this is something that we hear people saying regularly. One of the benefits of our adult day program is the socialization for our clients, building these relationships. And as folks age, it is difficult to make friends, and we see often with the diagnosis of dementia, some friendships start to dwindle. And so coming to the adult day program, we have heard people say, I always had a hard time making friends, but now I come here and you are all my friends. We've also heard on more than one occasion, a client saying to us, this is one place that I can come where I just feel normal. When I leave here, I don't always feel like I belong, but this is my place. Okay, next. So we'll talk a little bit about the clients who come to our adult day program. Who do we serve? We serve adults living with a chronic illness. We serve clients with dementia, and a great percentage of our clients do have a diagnosis of dementia, an intellectual or developmental disability, and those who are living with social isolation. And we're talking about the intellectual or development disability. We do have a unique program in the Truro area for our younger adults as well. I want to put a little plug in for that. We have many adults from the age of 19 up until about 50 who come one day a week for some special programming, a little bit different than what we may hold for our seniors. So we might make slime, or we might go for a walk around town and have a scavenger hunt, or listen to some music that might be a little bit more modern than what most of our seniors would like to listen to. So that's something that we started probably about 8 or 10 years ago. That's been quite a hit in the Truro area. Our clients live in their own homes or with family members or caregivers. They could live in assisted living facility, a group home, or a senior's apartment. So we are unable to accommodate individuals residing in level 2 and above long-term care facilities at this time. Okay. So what do we do at our adult day program? We want to make sure that every day we have some fun, physical, cognitive, reminiscent, and social activities. So as a supervisor, one of my goals is to work with the coordinators of each of the programs to ensure that every day is different, and every day there's some physical activity and some cognitive and reminiscent and social activities, but they're different every day. We want to help alleviate social isolation. We have some clients who have come to the program and the daughter will say, Mom's really quiet. Like the last few years, we noticed that she's not really telling the stories that she used to tell. Mind you, she's living at home, maybe with her daughter, whose daughter's buzzing around the house all day long, trying to keep things in order. But when Mom comes to the adult day program and she's surrounded by other people and she's asked questions and given some things that might prompt some memories, Mom doesn't stop talking all day long. And that's really special when we can share that with the daughter, that we heard this story and that story, and the daughter will say, I didn't know that she remembered those. We want to give people the opportunity to make new friends. And we've seen many friendships blossoming at the program, but something also special that happens at drop-off time, we've seen many daughters bringing their moms or their dads to the program, and gradually a friendship will form between the caregivers. And so sometimes they'll drop off their moms and then they'll go out for coffee. And that's nice because they have something in common and they can share with each other. The Adult Day program is a place for folks to discover new interests or rediscover old interests. And I want to tell you a little story about a fellow named Graham, who we met about 8 years ago. Graham has 2 daughters who live in my area, and Graham had been diagnosed with dementia, and his wife had recently been diagnosed with cancer. So each of the 2 daughters, they decided that they would each take on the responsibility of arranging any appointments or any affairs for one parent. So the daughter who was responsible for taking care of her dad, who was Graham, called me and wanted to know if the Adult Day program might be a suitable place for him to come, because they were trying to make home with the mom who was quite sick a very peaceful, serene spot. Graham was used to having the music playing and bebopping around the house all the time. He was busy. He wanted to be hammering nails and mowing the lawn. And yes, he did have dementia, but there's many things that he could do. And it was a little bit disruptive around the house where they were trying to keep it quiet for Mom. So one daughter was taking care of Mom. The daughter who was taking care of Dad brought Graham over to the Adult Day program the next morning. And right away, he fit in. He wanted to be sitting at the table with the other fellas, and he wanted to be reading the newspaper, and he wanted to help bake. So one of the things that we would do with our clients first thing in the morning, for the first few that arrive, we would have some coloring pages, some lexicon, and some word searches on the table with some colored pencils and pencils. And Graham sat at the table one day and he looked around and he kind of scoffed at the coloring. But then one of the staff picked up a coloring page and she started coloring, and then asked him if he might like to try it. And he really was hesitant at first, but it didn't take long for him to really start to take pride in his coloring. And then the next day he came in and he was looking for that picture that he had started the day before. And then every morning when he would come, and at his prime, he was coming 3 days a week to the program, he would be looking for the coloring pages. So we would make sure that we had traditionally more manly coloring pages for him to color with pictures of tools or a barn or a car. And that was something that he began to really enjoy, was this coloring. And so we talked to the family and said, if you're looking for something for Graham to do at home, he does like to color. And so we sent him home with some coloring pages and a pack of colored pencils for them to see for himself. And then they ended up purchasing quite a supply of things for him to color at home. A couple of years later, when Graham died, one of the things that the family did at the funeral was to pass out coloring books and color pencils for everybody to take home. And they said, color a picture in memory of Dad. So that was something that we kind of quietly took credit for, because it's something that they never would have thought that their father, who was in his 80s, might like to color. But we were pretty proud of that fact that he really did love it. So you never know what you might discover or rediscover at the Adult Day program. Our program also provides respite for the caregivers. And over the years, I've had many caregivers who would come in the morning and drop off their husband or their sister or their daughter or niece or nephew and tell us what their plans were for the day. They would almost want to justify why they needed us. And I would say to them, I get a day off. My coworkers get a day off. My sister gets a day off. You deserve a day as well to go and do whatever you want. If you want to go for a bike ride, go for it. If you want to go get your hair done or run your errands, go for it. If you want to go home and have a nap, go for it. You deserve that as well. Across the province, except for our enhanced adult day program, the cost is $20 per visit to attend. And our hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And we always tell the clients, you're not punching the punch clock. So if you don't get there right at 9 o'clock, that's okay. We want this to work for you. So if you are waiting for home care in the morning to come and help you get ready and you don't get there until 10 o'clock, that's okay. If you find the full day is too long and you want to be picked up at 2 o'clock, that's okay as well. We want this to work for you, to fit into your schedule. You don't have to fit into our schedule. Okay, next. So what do we offer? On-site preparation of refreshments, snacks, and lunch. Part of our programming, which we'll talk about in a little bit, we really do encourage the clients, as much as they can and as much as they want to take part in the meal planning and perhaps some of the preparation. So there are some sites. Today I was in the Tatamagouche Adult Day program and the clients were helping to make brownies for dessert. We've had other locations where the clients would snap the beans and cut up the potatoes for a hodgepodge. One day I had some potatoes out on the table when the clients arrived at the program, and I had some paring knives and vegetable peelers. And one of the husbands who was dropping his wife off said, "Oh, I'm not really so sure that my wife should be peeling a potato. It's been quite a while." And I said, "Your wife has peeled potatoes longer than I've been alive. So really, we're not going to say you can get up and walk around with that knife in your hand, but we could certainly say we're going to sit down with the clients and we're going to see who would like to peel some potatoes and cut up the potatoes supervised." And I'll tell you, those ladies who've been peeling potatoes for 50 years could certainly put me to shame with very little waste, and it took them no time at all. We have other clients who have said, "I did that all my life and I don't want to do it anymore." And that's fine as well. We do love to get out the Sobeys flyers and ask the clients to help us find items that are on sale or what looks delicious, what haven't you had for a while. And we want to incorporate their ideas into our menu. We can offer assistance with cutting up food and preparing the plate. So some of our clients need a little bit more help than others. Others are quite independent, but if somebody does need a little bit of help, if they need a clothing protector, if they need a reminder about which utensil they should be using for their soup, or maybe help cutting up their food, we can certainly do that. We can offer a medication reminder. So this would be part of our intake visit. We would talk to the family and the client about any medications that they may be bringing to the program. And then if they need a reminder and a glass of water, we can certainly provide that. And we can also provide some support in the washroom. If somebody needs just a little bit of extra help, we could send one staff into the bathroom, excluding regular bowel care, but we're certainly there to help if there is any sort of an emergency situation in the bathroom. Okay, Derrick. So this is quite general of what a day would look like at the Adult Day program. And I'm going to tell you a little story about the 9 o'clock clients arrive at the program. A few years ago, when I was working at the program, A daughter brought her mom up into the area where we have our group, and she said, I don't know what you guys do in there, but I'm just telling you, my mom and I have a rough morning every morning. She's slow to get out of bed. I try to get her going because I like to meet up with my friends so we can go for a walk. But she can be a little crabby in the morning. She takes her time eating her breakfast. It takes forever to get her cleaned up and into the car. But as soon as we pull in front of your building, she has her seatbelt off before I can even put the car into park. And she'll say, like, this is where the nice people are. The daughter says she has to like quickly put the car in park and then run around to the other side of the door and help mom because mom's halfway out the door. She can't wait to come into the group. So that kind of speaks volumes about how the clients just feel about coming to our group. So the doors open at 9 o'clock. We have many clients who are standing at the door waiting to come in at 9. Between 9 and 10, as folks trickle in, we'll have a healthy morning snack. So this morning in Tatamagouche, they had a beautiful plate done up with a croissant and some fresh strawberries and some bananas. Have a tea and coffee or a hot chocolate. And the staff will be sitting around the table with the clients to do a little coffee and conversation and some icebreakers. We often pull out the trivia books and we'll ask some questions we try to stump them, but we often can't. Between 10 and 11, we'll have some morning activities, and we usually do up a calendar at each of our sites so the clients will know ahead of time what morning activities. We may have a social, we may do some more trivia, a cognitive game, we might play Jeopardy or do a crossword puzzle. Every day, part of our routine is to do some sorts of exercises. So we have a nice routine that we would do partially sitting in our chair and some standing if they're able. We also like to incorporate some fun games. So we might play balloon badminton or kick the soccer ball. The parachute is a fan favorite, and we'll throw the little balls into the middle of the parachute with the music playing and just have fun. You can just, if you were to walk past the road in front of the building where we have the program, you can tell when the parachute's out because everybody's giggling and laughing. It's a lot of fun. Before lunch, we may play some more games, maybe a board game, do some more trivia. We have a book club in many of our programs where everybody gets a copy of a large print book. This is the Carry On Reading series, and we read the books. We take turns for everyone who's able. We take a turn reading a page. And these are beautiful topics like Anne of Green Gables. We have a story about hockey or about animals or growing up on a farm. And so we have purchased most of the library of these carry-on reading stories at some of our adult day programs. And we'll go through, we'll start with the first one, and then the next day we go to the next. And then by the time we get through all of them, we can go back again because it'll be fresh for us. We have a nice healthy lunch. Home cooked meals is what we promote. And one of the lovely things about that is that we can smell the food cooking, and that kind of makes people feel a little bit hungry. At some of the sites, we have a bread maker, and those are great days as well when we can smell the bread. We would have dessert as well, and tea and coffee. We would try to stretch out that period so that everybody just gets to sit like they would at home, just sit around like a family at the tables with the staff there and just talk and enjoy their meal. After lunch, we have some music, guests, speakers, maybe an art project, a board game, or puzzles. And then by 3:30, our clients go home. One thing I will add about doing the music in the afternoons, I want to do a little shout out to my parents who were music teachers, and I spent a lot of time like sitting in front of the piano as a child. And I'm thankful now for those lessons, because at the end of every day, I would play music for probably the last hour. And many times caregivers would come to pick their loved one up a few minutes early so that they could have a little dance with their husband, or sit and just watch the mom and how she was engaged in the music. And I had one daughter say to me, when I see my mom and she's smiling and she's swaying to the music and she's clapping and she's singing, that's the mom I remember. I haven't had that mom for years. I haven't seen her, but today I saw her, and that kind of brings hope that she's still in there. And so that's one of the special things that we can offer just with the music kind of brings out the best in people. And again, there's been times at 3:30 when clients didn't want to go home. And I mean, there was one day I had to shut the lights off and make it seem like we were all leaving at the same time because clients didn't want to go home because it's such a happy place. So I've talked a little bit about some of the activities that we do in a day, but we wanted to summarize just some of our favorite activities. So of course, music and sing-alongs. The clients love arts and crafts, and it's so amazing how we can give everybody the same supplies and we can walk them step through a project, but at the end everybody's looks a little different, and we really encourage that. We don't want them to look like cookie cutters because we can tell then the staff may have been a little too involved in that project. But when the clients are able to put their heart and soul into a craft, that's it, you know, it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's theirs. Adult coloring, like I mentioned, is a hit with most of our clients. And we are very careful about what sorts of coloring pages that we would choose for our clients. We want them to be respectful and adult coloring, not childish. Puzzles, jigsaw puzzles can be really fun. And so we would have puzzles that have 12 pieces and 24 pieces and 48 pieces and 60 pieces. And some clients would struggle with a 12-piece puzzle, while others could probably sit and do a 100-piece puzzle in half an hour. So we want to make sure we have a variety. We love to play brain games, and these could be something we would put on the calendar or use as a filler in between our activities. Every day we would have some active games on the schedule, like a beanbag toss or a parachute games. We play with the dice. We have lots of balls. I mentioned the book club, and I'll put a plug in again. These are books called the Carry On Reading Series, and they're about $7.50 a book. You could go on the website for Dementiability and order a couple of the books if you're interested. It's just the words are simple, but the subjects are respectful for someone with dementia. We do lots of trivia, education sessions such as armchair travel or special interest topics. We have theme days, parties, and much more. Okay. So who can make a referral? So at our community adult day programs, which is the majority of the programs that we have, anybody can make a self-referral. So you might hear about the program and then just give the coordinator a phone call. Other caregivers, family and friends. At one of our sites, we had I had a woman call me and she said, my best friend's mom comes to the program, and so I want my mom to come to the program too. And the moms know each other and the daughters are best friends. So that was kind of nice. It's kind of lets us know how people value us when they do refer their loved ones to us. Continuing care. Well, often when they're in the community doing visits, they'll suggest that the adult day program may be a good avenue. VON staff, like Derrick said, we have hundreds and hundreds of staff going in the community for visits every day. And they'll often mention to somebody, especially if they feel that this is a client who might be lonely, that they could come to the adult day program. Other healthcare professionals, we often get calls from the hospital, from a physiotherapy clinic, from a doctor's office, and senior safety coordinators and others. And like Derrick mentioned about our enhanced adult day programs, these would be clients who are authorized and approved through continuing care. And this is a program that's offered in Truro and Stellarton. Okay. So I have a little story to add about the admission process. We're going to talk a little bit about intake visits and trial days and things. I want to talk about how flexible we can be when it comes to having a new admission at our program. Not everybody is excited about joining the adult day program. We have some caregivers who can be quite hesitant, and a lot of clients who are saying, like, why are you taking me here? And you would be surprised at how many older men who come to our adult day program, and as soon as the wife leaves to go take care of her business, the men will look at us and say, she must have a boyfriend. And I have heard this a dozen times if I've heard it once. So a few years ago, we had a client who was referred to one of our adult day programs, and the daughter was excited, but didn't know that mom would be very willing to stay at the program without her. And we wanted to be very flexible and take our time with our approach with this family, because we did really see the benefit. This was a client who was living by herself, and the family was working really hard to provide supports for her so she could stay in her home. Nobody was able to move in with the mom after the dad died, but they were taking turns having sleepovers and making sure she had her meals. Some of the grandchildren would go on the weekend. So at first, the daughter brought her mom in, and the mom was going like, "Why am I here? I don't want to be here." And we were trying to explain, this is just a fun place for you. We have good food and music and lots of other people around. So she would only stay if her daughter stayed. So we let that happen once or twice. And then on the third day, we said to the daughter, "Bring her, and then why don't you run to Sobeys, and we can tell her you're at Sobeys, and then you come back." We tried that a couple of times, and then something happened, and this client just said, "This is my place now. I'm comfortable here." She started staying the full days. So she was authorized to attend this program 3 days a week. This was at our enhanced program. And then because she lived on her own, I started getting calls from the minister of the church where we had our program, because this client would walk to the program 7 days a week, even though we were only there 3 days a week. And he would say, "She's at the door again." I'd say, "Well, can you go down and let her know we're not here today? And if she goes home, that's great. If not, I'll call her daughter." So she was showing up on Sunday mornings and on Friday mornings when there was nobody there, but she was looking for those nice people. So that just talks about how we were very patient with her. We worked with that family. And then in the end, she fell in love with us and wanted to be there every day. Generally, to become part of our adult day program, the client or the caregiver would contact our local coordinator and talk about eligibility. So our folks who come to the program would be relatively independent in the washroom and with their meals and things, and they have to want to be there. And it can take a little bit of time to make that happen, but generally we can't stand in front of the door and stop folks from leaving. So they have to really do agree to coming. The coordinator will then schedule an intake visit with the client and the caregiver. We would do some consents and start a digital file. So we would be asking some questions about the client's demographics and their diagnosis. Then we would organize a trial day after the clients come in for this little visit with the coordinator. We would set up a trial day. And the goal would be that the client would come on their own for that day. And it doesn't have to be a whole day. It could be part of a day. That would be no cost. We would love to see the caregiver be able to come in, have a coffee with the client, and then take off and go and not worry about things. We'll call if there's a problem. And then the goal would be that the client would be admitted to the program. And then depending on the availability of the site, there may be additional days requested for them to attend. And then after that, we want to have regular communication between the coordinator and the caregiver, just to let you know how things are going, if there's any changes or supports we may need to add, but just we're an open door. So if you or someone you know would be interested in spending some time with our wonderful ADP teams, please contact our local ADP or our VON office and start the referral process. We always look forward to meeting new people. Okay.
Wow, you too. That was just so so uplifting. Great stories. Thank you for introducing us to Graham and to your lovely lady who walks 7 days a week. Those stories really are so heartwarming and speak volumes about the great work that is happening in communities supporting people with dementia. And what I really like too, and Derrick knows how much I loved when I was working at VON, the focus on the two people involved or more people. A person with dementia, there's always a care partner who is so closely attached. So I like the vision that you have supporting both the person living with the disease and the care partner. That's a rare thing nowadays. So VON, as usual, hats off to you for the great care you're providing. I really was excited to hear about the pilot programs, the cluster care and capable and enhanced ADP. That's exciting. 7,000 drives. Oh, wow. That's a lot of hours and miles on people's vehicles and what they're giving back. Life-giving programs, I think you said it, and so true. And your tagline, live every day. No matter where you are, what part of your life you're in, it can be end of life. It's still important to find whatever life there is in that day. So great work. Keep doing it. And I'm just so thrilled that we had this presentation today. So thank you for that. We'll take some questions now, and I did see one in the chat. So Tracy from Northwood Halifax Adult Day Program says you spoke on having enhanced adult day program and different programs for different populations. What does that look like?
And maybe I'll start with the referral process. Excuse me, then Monique, I'll turn it over to you for kind of the programming aspect. So for most of our programs right across the province, we call them community adult day programs, or anybody can refer. So it could be that person themselves, it could be a family member. As Monique indicated, it could be a doctor, it could be a senior safety coordinator. It doesn't really matter to us. Anybody can refer to that program. And then if you meet the criteria, then you're admitted to the program. With our enhanced adult day programs, this is a pilot with the government, with the Department of Seniors and Long-Term Care, to be able to offer our adult day programs for those who have already been authorized for respite services in their home. So in some ways, this program becomes an added bonus than just respite in the home, like just where you might have one person come in to spend some time. This then allows the person to leave their home to come into a programming environment. So it's not one-on-one, it's congregate. There's a lot of other added benefits to the congregate model for a respite program. And we're serving continuing care clients only in that program. But I'll turn it over to you, Monique, maybe to speak a little bit about who are we seeing there? And, is the programming different? And you can certainly fill in those blanks there.
Yeah. So this enhanced adult day program was kind of created to fill a void. We were noticing at our community adult day programs, after some of our clients had been with us for a number of years, we're seeing a decline in. So we were eventually going to be potentially looking at a discharge for this client because we're no longer able to meet their needs. So this enhanced adult day program was created as kind of the next step, a gradual. You've graduated from the community adult day program. We can't meet your needs there anymore. So now we're going to move along to the enhanced adult day program. So this is for folks who maybe are experiencing a little, their dementia may have progressed a little bit. They need a little bit more than the support we can offer in our bigger group. So the programming has been slowed down a little bit. We are doing a lot of the same activities, but maybe breaking them down into simpler steps. And, there's a lot, we're still able to do the music and the exercises. We're still doing the book club with them, but maybe when we play a game or a craft, it's just a little bit slower. Where at the community program, we might have the music playing a little bit louder. We want to keep things a little bit calm at our enhanced adult day program, just a little bit more of a relaxed atmosphere. Now, we certainly have some clients who could go into the kitchen and make lunch. We have others who would really require a little bit more support than that. So, and it actually works. Like when we first, it took a while for the referrals to start coming in. And at first we weren't sure, is this going to work? But now we're seeing, again, the friendships, the caregivers are creating a bond. And like the same successes that we would have at our community program is just taken a little bit, like we just kind of slowed it down a little bit.
Right.
It's a similar diagnosis, just a little more progressed. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But meeting their needs where they're at, which is what, is so important for sure. So great work. I'm also seeing a comment here that says the day program sounds really wonderful. This person was afraid her partner was not yet ready for it, that it might be childish. Obviously not so. And it really isn't. It's geared for adults.
Yes.
I want to tell you a little story that I had written down, if you don't mind, if I have just a minute. A couple of years ago, we had a lady coming to our, she was actually part of our community adult day program and then transitioned into our enhanced adult day program. She was living at home with her husband, and he eventually had to move into long-term care because of some illness. So she would go and visit him in the long-term care facility, and the family was in constant contact with us to let us know Dad's not doing well. One morning, I got a phone call from one of the daughters saying, our dad died this morning. We said, oh my goodness. Well, I thought she was calling to say mom won't be coming today, but she was actually calling to say, we're still sending mom to your program today. She knows what happened. She wants to come to the program to be with her friends. So I thought I had staff working at the program, but I want to be the one to go out and meet this lady. I've been working with her for 10 years. I met her coming off the bus and I said, I am so sorry to hear about your husband. So I gave her a little hug and I said, do you want to talk about it or do you want to stay busy? And she said, I want to stay busy. So we came off the bus, we went down the elevator, we came into the room, I put her Elvis Presley on, I got her coffee, told the staff what was going on. We kept her busy. And then partway through the morning, she said, I'm ready to talk. So we had a talk with her, and others around the table heard me talking to her, and they wanted to join in and offer their condolences. But then another lady said, I remember when my husband died. And one of the men said, I remember when my wife died, and I lost my brother. And it turned into like a little support group around the table. And it was beautiful. And everybody was crying and the staff were crying. One of them lost their grandmother and their uncle. And it was just, that's the support we can offer. We will, yes, people will say like, oh, I don't want to go there and be babysat. It's not about that at all. It's about respect for these clients. These are all humans and they have feelings, even if it takes a little bit for them to get those out. We can talk about what does it feel like to lose your driver's license, or how are the sidewalks when you're going around town in a wheelchair. We talk about real things, and the clients will, like, I've had clients say like, I'm already thinking about what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm getting excited about coming back tomorrow before they even leave today. So that's what it's all about.
Oh,
I think,
wow.
Monique, like what you're really speaking about is that at our adult day programs, it really is a congregate program,
Yeah.
but really focused on the individual that's in that congregate program, right? So if somebody's worrying about, will my husband feel like this is a bit of a childish thing, the staff is going to tune into that and really work with that person to make sure that they feel valued there, welcome there, and meaningful, that there's something for them to do. Oftentimes, the clients that come to our adult day program want to do something. They don't want to be necessarily just sitting there and being served. They want to participate. And so we find the right things for them to participate in, which brings meaning to them. And so that Monique, you did a great job to really speak about, though it's congregate, we can focus right in on the individual. Just great.
It's a person-centered lens.
Yes.
And I know from experience that the people who work there, whether staff, paid staff, or volunteers, are there because they care, genuinely care, and want to make a difference, and they love what they do. So how does somebody reach you if they're interested in this service, adult day or transportation or whatever services that you have? Where do they call?
So Sandra, as you're kind of speaking to that, I brought us back to that slide, which I know we just kind of glanced at quite quickly, and it does list our local sites right across the whole province. If this is too quick for somebody and perhaps they're not able to kind of mark down a location or a phone number, by all means, go to our website, von.ca, and there's a section there where you'll be able to search in the province of Ontario, but also Nova Scotia, and then drill down by site. And there will be some local phone numbers there. So certainly either take a peek right now, or if you don't have a chance to do that, just go to our website and you'll find our contact information there as well.
And we have this information as well. If whoever's watching today or watching later can contact our dementia helpline. Derrick, if you wouldn't mind bringing it to that screen, the last slide, so they can contact us and we can certainly refer the number so that you can get that support through the VON. I wish we had more time to go through more of this, and it's been so lovely having you both. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for explaining what you're doing, which is providing life-giving supports to so many people across the province. So you will see poll questions on your screen. We do ask that you take a minute to respond to them because it helps us know if this was helpful to you. And if you do have some ideas for future AlzEds, please send it our way as well. So thank you, Monique and Derrick. Can't thank you enough for sharing about the great non-nursing programs that people aren't always familiar with that the VON provides. We thank everyone for tuning in today as well. Please send your comments or suggestions, as I said, for future topics in the chat, or call our dementia helpline, which you see on screen right now, the 800 number, to learn about our programs and services. This session was recorded and will be hosted on the ASNS YouTube channel so that you can watch again or share with your family or use as a teaching tool. So thank you, everybody, and be safe. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.